right, let's get into this here. Hopefully everybody's having a good Sunday. We are ready and willing to go for another round of Unexpected Wrestling, where you can expect the unexpected every single Sunday. Mr. Chunk, how was your day going, my friend? The hell?
Going peachy.
Oh, okay. I thought your mic wasn't working for a second there. Oh, okay. There you go. Okay. So we've had a pretty interesting week in wrestling. We had
Excuse me!
did you fart? Okay, Vicky. We had our second week of Raw on Netflix. And to be quite honest with you, I think the production for Raw on Netflix, I said this earlier in the week, this is the first time that I've seen the WWE truly make one of their shows stand out from all the other ones. Like, literally, when you watch Raw on Netflix, if it didn't have the WWE logo plastered all over it, you would think this was done by, like, a different company. Which I guess technically, since, you know, the Netflix partnership, it kind of is. But it looks completely different than what we see on SmackDown, NXT, even their pay-per-views. Just the way that it... Just the production value that they're using, the camera angles that they're using, the way they're presenting it, it's very, very different. And I kind of like it. It makes me look forward to that show specifically every single week.
I have to tell you, I agree.
Yeah.
I could sum it up in 3 words. I'm so excited for Raw on Netflix.
Yeah. Oh god, if they ever changed the song to that, honestly, like I'd be more familiar with a song like that than the rap R&B stuff that they're using.
They've been doing that for a few
popular.
years now.
Yeah, they used to always focus on like alternative and rock music, and now it's more of the rap, the hip hop, the R&B, and that's fine. You know,
Maybe
I'm
they'll
not
go to
too
Rick
familiar.
Astley next.
Yeah, there you go. I'm just not too familiar with it. But we're going to talk about what happened on Raw in a little bit here. But first, we want to get into some of the headlines. And one of the first headlines I saw this week was the revelation that WWE has decided to run a Saturday night main event special on the same day as AEW All In Texas, which is July 12th, 2025. And obviously that would be a Saturday, since it's Saturday night's main event. Although it would be kind of funny if they did a Saturday night main event on a Sunday. That would really tell me that they purposely are messing with with AEW there. But yeah, like, so it's hard to say like if that's intentional or not, because I think NBC kind of makes the call on when those specials are going to air. It's not WWE saying, oh, you guys need to make space on your programming for us to make the show. They're like, no, we have an available slot here. Let's do a Saturday night's main event. But maybe they gave WWE options.
Maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah, maybe WWE had the option to choose that week or a different week, and they chose that one. Maybe the ruffle feathers a little bit. You never know. It is kind of like I wouldn't say a shady thing to do, but it is kind of, they're poking the bear a little bit. And it's a very small bear. I wouldn't call it Yogi, maybe
fun-sized.
Yeah, a little fun-sized bear. I wouldn't call AEW the bear in that situation, but for those not in the know, that would be like AEW running some show on WrestleMania Day or something. Although that would be very foolish for AEW to do, because I think they would end up losing money in that situation.
Yes, absolutely.
But something like this, I think WWE sees blood in the water, and they're the sharks, and they realize that they could make a statement here because All In is, I guess you would say, it's maybe AEW's like second biggest pay-per-view of the year. I mean, I think that's a fair testament there. And WWE running Saturday night's main event, there's a good chance that they might have more viewers on Saturday night's main event than what happens on All In. And I guess it would be difficult to determine, since All In Texas will be a pay-per-view, but
I'd laugh if they got more viewers than their biggest pay-per-view of the year.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised since NBC, that's broadcast television, right? That's on free TV.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
obviously WWE is going to get more views, but I think the real intent, in my opinion, like I'm not saying WWE's out to get them or anything, but I think the real intent is to deter people from even watching the All In pay-per-view, watch Saturday night's main event, and then after Saturday night's main event, if they're still interested, how many of them are going to buy the replay? There's probably not a lot.
Right.
A lot of people will
Right.
just download the replay.
Right.
They're not going to buy it. So I really think that that's going to hurt AEW's pocketbook a little bit there. The little coin purse. It's going to hurt their coin purse a little bit by having WWE run a show. Now, if you want to verify that they're officially trying to mess with AEW, they would run Saturday night's main event in Texas. In a bigger arena than what All In's running in. That would be a low blow. Because from what I'm understanding, AEW's having trouble filling that arena. They're trying to make it as big as like Wembley, and it's just not working out for them. But it is still a little early. They could, somehow squeeze some people in there. But right now, there's even talk that they might even have to look for like a smaller arena to run this show in, which would be unfortunate for them. So yeah, that was a talk at the beginning of the week, and some other newsworthy thing that I saw on the internet, of the power of the internet, was the idea of Charlotte returning very soon, which we'll discuss on the SmackDown recap, that they did actually run a promotional video of Charlotte and her return. But with Charlotte returning, there's been discussion within WWE of running Charlotte versus Tiffany Stratton at WrestleMania. And by the looks of it right now, speaking of Charlotte, the way things are looking right now, it might be a title match with Tiffany with the title. I'm 100% for the match, but my worry is it's a little too early in Tiffany Stratton's main roster career to do a dream match like this, unless they plan on making it a series of matches. Not that I don't think she's ready. I don't think she's developed her character and personality enough to have like an all-time match with Charlotte at WrestleMania. Like, I don't know. I mean, they would have months to build it up, so maybe they could get me more on board during those months. But I don't see it being like a Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley was, where it was like a real passing of the torch or anything. This would be, at least I would hope this would be their first encounter. And fantasy booking it myself, the way things stand now, I would actually book Charlotte to win the match. I don't think it's the right time to have Tiffany Stratton just completely bulldoze over Charlotte, especially with a return, and we don't know like what her placement will be on that return. If she's going to return a heel, a baby face. Typically, when somebody returns, they're always going to come back as a baby face, and then they kind of have to bring out the heel personality. So there's a lot of things up in the air there, and I honestly think in I think it's 2 or 3 weeks, the Royal Rumble is going to answer a lot of these questions for us. There's a lot of what ifs, and you're going to hear that today on the show of what is going to going into WrestleMania. Okay, all right, dude. All right. So a lot of those what ifs will be answered at the Royal Rumble, and the Royal Rumble is always to kick off the WrestleMania season. It's what's going to get you really excited for WrestleMania. And we're going to get into discussing a lot of that later on in the show. But let's move on. Yo, Hippo in the house. Thank you for stopping in. I appreciate you. Let's move on to our key points from Raw. What we liked about Raw and what maybe we didn't like as much about Raw. So my first key point, and I would say this is kind of my standout key point here, the debut of Penta. I thought it was a fantastic debut. His presentation was exactly what I was hoping for. There's just so much. I wish that like there wasn't so many restrictions with YouTube and everything, and I could show like clips of the match because it's hard to describe it in words. The match was very, very solid. There was a little bit of a mishap at one part, but they kind of recovered from it well. Chad Gable was absolutely the correct partner to have for that match. I know that they were going to run with a tag match with Rey Mysterio Penta against the New Day. I don't think that would have been as impactful as this debut was, even though some people were salty that he didn't debut on the debut of Raw on Netflix. I think that this was the perfect opportunity for him to showcase his
I think
talents.
otherwise it would have taken away from it. I think waiting was the better option.
Yeah, like a tag match, he still would have been able to showcase, but I don't know. Like your debut being in a tag match, I think a debut like his needed to be one-on-one, and I think they made the right choice with the right opponent. It's very, very important to say Chad Gable made him look like $1 million.
Yes,
I think he can
and
make
WWE
anybody
has,
look like $1 million.
As past history of not showcasing luchador wrestling very well.
Yeah.
I'll give you a prime example: Sin Cara, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they made a big deal about him, and he comes running to the ring,
Yep.
and you're like, "Wow, look at how he can leap 20 feet!" And you find out there's a trampoline under the ring, making it all look happen. It looks cheesy and stupid.
Yeah, they've had
they
a weird,
don't do that now.
relationship with Lucha Libre wrestlers in the WWE. It's like they don't really know how to, other than Rey Mysterio, who already had his history and everything before then. Eddie Guerrero, even like when he first came in, they didn't know how to showcase him. Eventually, they caught on. He kind of brought out his personality, and he got there.
Right.
It took a long time. The only other Lucha Libre wrestler that of the past recent memory that I can think of that they did a decent job at showcasing, unfortunately, was Alberto Del Rio, but we all know that he's kind of like a douchebag, and he'll never be in WWE again, I don't think. But they did do a really good job at presenting him as a star. But you're right, they have a hard time showcasing Lucha Libre talent in WWE. Penta, I think he had the track record that they felt comfortable showcasing him the way they did. They even gave him some time to talk on the microphone. You kind of needed some translation for a lot of people, but it was a really cool moment, really cool debut. I'm really excited to see what his future will be in the WWE. Because the match was just kind of like showcased his talent. There wasn't really a storyline involved there. So I'm hoping tomorrow night we'll see him in another match, and maybe we can get him at least to announce that he's going to be in the Royal Rumble or get a storyline going, something. And my personal fantasy booking, I'm hoping this all leads to him versus Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania. I think that would be an excellent match. I believe they've had that match before in like the Independence. But WWE has never seen that match, so I think that would be really interesting for them to do. Another key point that I had was great match by Dakota Kai and Valkyrie. For some reason, I always forget her first name.
Lyra Valkyria.
Lyra Valkyria. But my personal opinion, I still think Dakota should have won the match. Wasn't
I mean, either choice is good. I mean, Dakota has shown some personality lately.
Yes.
So I could see a small push for her, but then Valkyria needs a little bit of momentum as well. Mm-hmm. And I think she needs it more than Dakota Kai, personally.
Yeah, Dakota Kai.
Dakota Kai deserves it.
Yes.
But Valkyria needs it more.
Yeah.
Because without it, I think she just falls back into obscurity.
They were kind of in a win-win situation. Either contender would have been a good choice. Me personally, I still would have just picked Dakota, just because I like Dakota more than I don't have a connection with Valkyria. I don't understand the bird thing. I don't understand her personality too well. I connect a little more with Dakota because we saw her kind of play different characters. She runs around with the damage control. So you kind of have some sort of connection there. She's been around for a couple years on the main roster. And then my last key point from Raw, the promo between Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and Drew McIntyre. Another excellent promo by the three of them. It seems like anytime you put those guys on camera together, it's like lightning in a bottle. They just have some real tension that they always seem to bring out whenever they're working together. And I honestly think that potentially could be a main event for WrestleMania Night 1. I think that they might
Triple
be
threat?
heading in that direction, a triple threat. Yes.
A menage a trois.
Yeah. No titles. Okay. It's just a blood feud. Maybe they'll add some sort of weird stipulation to it. I don't think it needs it, though. I think that if they save it for the first time at WrestleMania, doing a triple threat matches are already no disqualification, so...
One and done? That's it? End of all of it?
No. What I probably would see happen, I don't think they're going to do like a best of 3 of the triple threat, but I could see them branching that off into another feud, whether it be McIntyre and Rollins or CM Punk and Rollins continuing their one-on-one feud. We saw enough of the CM Punk, Drew McIntyre. They might be able to revisit that again down the road, but right now that's a 2024 thing, in my opinion. I don't think they should. But I think the first time that those three have a match together needs to be at WrestleMania. I would say main event, unless they have something bigger, and then maybe have the triple threat open the show. But as where it stands right now, with what I know of who could potentially be available for WrestleMania and whatever, what dream matches we could come up with, that would be a night 1 main event. Not a night 2 main event, because I have another opinion on what that will be. But a night 1 main event.
Excuse me!
Yeah, Vicky will be she'll be the special guest ring announcer. Night 1 main event, I definitely could see that being the triple threat there. So what were your key things from Raw? What were your key moments from Raw that stood out to you?
So I had some of the same thoughts, but I had 2 other ones that stuck out.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of debate online that Raw did not hit 3 hours. They were about the 2.5 hour mark. And, there was a debate of like, oh, well, there was some talent that could have been featured in that last half hour. They could have had 1 or 2 more matches.
Yeah. Like
the whole point of Netflix was that they weren't constrained by time limits.
Yep. And Triple H, before they premiered on Netflix, made a point to say that they aren't constrained by time limits.
Right.
But he also said that like it's kind of like it's a Pandora's box. Like they kind of decide where's the sweet spot. Like if they need to run 4 hours, they'll run 4 hours. If they if they only need to run 2, they'll run 2. He said 40 minutes, but I don't think they'll ever do a 40-minute.
No, 40 minutes. No. But
I think the live audience would riot at that.
No, I mean, could they have aired more content? They could have aired more content, but I didn't feel slighted as a fan.
No, I think he is.
Sweet spot.
Yeah, he's trying.
And they're probably testing the waters.
Yeah, he's trying to be
go
Willy
over,
Wonka
go under.
a little bit.
Yeah,
and he's trying to get the perfect formula. He doesn't want it to drag too long. He doesn't want it to be too short. He wants to hit a sweet spot. And to be honest with you, I wasn't complaining. I was a little surprised when I saw it end at 2.5 hours, but I wasn't necessarily like upset about it. I didn't feel like I was jilted off of something.
Right.
Yeah, there was nothing that I thought that they could have added that would have made to be completely honest with you, I thought the main event drug on a little longer than I would have had it. I thought there was a little too many false finishes, but that's just my preference. That's my opinion.
And the other takeaway I had was the feud between Damian Priest and Judgment Day, or at least between him and Finn Balor. Looks like it's finally over.
Yeah.
But it's not clear where do they all go from here.
Yeah, like, especially Damian Priest. Like, I have no idea where they're going with him after this.
I assume he'll be in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
I don't know if
so maybe they can kind of keep him...
Start something.
They can keep him in the air, like, with his Royal Rumble uh, premonitions.
Right.
Judgment Day, I do see them. They're working some sort of story where there's some. It looks like there's some disgruntled people in Judgment Day, so it looks like there might be some sort of split going on there or something.
I mean, in
So
my opinion, it's run its course,
yes,
and the only thing that I think makes sense is that Finn Balor and JD McFunko Pop
yeah,
could be a decent team for a tag team title run again at some point, right? They'd be back in contention. Get rid of Carlito, right? Carlito adds no value. Get rid of him.
you think they should just fire him? I think he has some
Add any
value.
value. Zero.
Yeah, like
Sorry.
the problem that we have now is WWE doesn't run like house shows much anymore. And Carlito, in my opinion, would be more of a house show.
He's a house show
guy
talent, yeah.
right now because they don't have anything for him. Like he's not.
And you know who's left out in the cold out of all of this? Dom Mysterio.
Nah, they're always going to have something for him. They'll always.
Yeah,
have
but he
something for
doesn't.
him.
Where does he fit in? Where does he fit in?
It looks like they kind of.
They're gonna throw him in random matches.
Yeah, they kind of tease that there's something going on, maybe between him and Liv Morgan. I mean,
yeah, but he's gotta.
They've, if you go with long-term storytelling, they were kind of teasing that there was something going on with Finn Balor and Liv Morgan back when this all first started. So maybe they'll go into that, and maybe they'll see where that goes.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you could turn Finn Balor babyface again. I think Dom. Nobody wants to see him babyface right now.
They'd have to do some work to really make him turn.
Yeah.
Right now, it doesn't seem like they planted any seeds of him turning.
Maybe they could do some program between Dom and Penta until Penta's ready to face Rey Mysterio.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Dominic is kind of... Anytime they're trying to get somebody over, they always throw Dominic at them.
And Dominic's a good worker. I think he's very good at putting talent over without looking too weak.
That's always what they're going to do. They even did it with CM Punk. His first match back was against Dominic.
Until they get to a point where Dom could run on his own. I think that's what I'm worried about. He can't run on his own yet.
So
every program he's been in, he has a woman fight his verbal battles for him.
He's a coward.
And he needs to step away from that to be his own person.
You want to hear the funniest thing? These were I can't say 100% confirmation, but the rumors last year before all the scandal happened and Brock Lesnar wasn't a part of WWE anymore. Apparently, these were rumors, but apparently Dominic Mysterio was supposed to eliminate him from the Royal Rumble, and they were
kick off a feud.
No, it was going to be a short one. They were going to have the feud go into I think one of those Saudi shows. It was going to be Dom.
And Dom would have gotten the win over
No. He would have somehow eliminated Brock from the Royal Rumble, and then probably Brock would have squashed him at a Saudi show or something.
No, that's better off it didn't happen, because Dom would have lost credibility. More credibility.
Well, it's he's a cowardly heel, of course. They just wanted people to be excited.
But the problem with cowardly heels is they run their course, and then fans don't give them any respect ever.
Well, right now, I don't think they need the fans to give him respect. They pretty much have him hiding behind Liv Morgan.
Yeah.
So,
but the longer you do that, the harder it's going to be to repair that character and make him.
Well, but what they will have to do is they'll have to get another Dom Mysterio and then have the real Dom Mysterio kind of mess with them, get a win over them, and then they got to get a new heater. They got to get somebody else that has the heat that Dom does. They're not close to that yet. The New Day's getting there, it seems like, but they don't have another Dom yet. So are there all those?
He's like the sub,
huh?
Nothing.
I didn't.
I said he's not the Dom. He's the sub.
Oh God!
If you know what I mean.
All right, dude. So is that all the key points you had from Raw?
Yeah, I mean, I had shared the same thoughts you did with Penta.
Yeah, Penta was kind of the big headline there.
Yes, Lyra Valkyria, I was 50-50, there was no wrong choice there. That was a good match.
Yeah, so we'll just have to see what they do with that title going forward. They seem to be doing a good job with the U.S. title on SmackDown. They have it kind of in the forefront every week. Maybe not defended every week, but the champions on the show every week. They're creating some story behind that. So let's move on to more wrestling headlines throughout the week. This was a big one that really picked up on. Missy, thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you. Unfortunately, we're not live on TikTok tonight because TikTok had their 30-second ban, and it seems like it kind of messed up with some of the credentials for us to be able to stream. So next week we will be back on TikTok. I will be posting clips from the show on TikTok throughout the week, though. So we're not live, so it is what it is. We're doing the best we can here. We are live on Twitch and YouTube. So Tuesday, I forget if some of this kind of trickled in Monday night, but I think it was mostly on Tuesday. Or maybe the initial tweet trickled in on Monday night. But Corey Graves, when Raw went to Netflix, he was the main SmackDown announcer with Michael Cole. Yes, it was him and Michael Cole on SmackDown before they moved to Raw, and then Pat McAfee came back. So Pat McAfee kind of took Corey Graves' spot. Wade Barrett and Joe, what's his last name? Tessitore. They are doing SmackDown, and Corey Graves kind of got, I don't know if you want to call it demotion, but he obviously sees it as a demotion. He got moved to NXT, which is on Tuesday nights on CW. And he wasn't too happy about that. So I have a screenshot of his little tantrum here. Let me get this all set up real quick. Okay, so we need to get this moving into there. Real quick, just to show you guys what we're dealing with Mr. Corey Graves here. Okay. What is going on? Okay, here we go. There's Corey Graves' tweet right here. Let me see. I can kind of raise this up a little bit. So he writes this on his Twitter account. It says, "Imagine chasing your dreams, then being told, not deciding, that you're no longer physically able to pursue your dreams." What he's referring to there is he used to be a wrestler. He used to be an NXT talent, and he got himself injured. And it was one of those things where the injury was bad enough that he was sort of put into a forced retirement. And that's how he got onto commentary. Let's continue here. Then you dedicate your life to something dream adjacent and being pretty fucking awesome at it. I kind of agree with him there. He did get really, really good at commentary. And then when it's time to enjoy the fruits of your labor, being told you're not famous enough for your own job, just in case you're wondering where I've been. And he's referring to kind of losing his spot to Pat McAfee on Netflix. So there's a lot to think about here. And I have my opinions on it. I want to get Mr. Chunk's opinions on this. So I think that there's some real frustration here with Corey. And be honest with you, if I was in his shoes, I'd probably be frustrated also. But I also think that he's working. I also think that he's working us, and he's maybe he's trying to signal himself for a potential match, a potential feud with Pat McAfee specifically. I'm getting like mixed things online from people. Some people are saying it's completely a work. Some people are saying that it's not a work. Some people are saying that it's not a work, and he was just trying to kind of promote the brand, but it didn't come across that way. Some people are saying that he's completely like going AWOL and he's really ticked off, and that was kind of like his middle finger to the WWE. It's kind of up in the air. And
so I have a thought on this.
Yep.
I think it's both. I gave it some more thought.
Mm-hmm.
I think just like anything in wrestling, right? A lot of things are built in reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's legitimately pissed off, right?
Yes.
I think that maybe he's thinking that by leveraging social media, that WWE take notice and
Mm-hmm.
think that um, they can build something out of it.
Absolutely.
But that's up to WWE, right? They might
Yep.
be like, you know what? Nice try, Corey Graves. We have a bunch of other stuff to do.
Yep.
You know, your little spat with Pat McAfee doesn't crack the top 10. And,
Yeah.
you know, maybe they'll give Corey Graves some cooling off time.
Yep. And that's
And
apparently
that's
what
it.
they did. I guess I didn't get into
Yeah.
that part.
Yeah.
So he tweeted this, and then he also had another tweet, which I wasn't able to get a screenshot of because, by the way, he deleted all this stuff. None of this is on Twitter anymore. He had another tweet after this the next day that said, check out NXT on CW tonight," and then he put "I have a lot to say," and he put a microphone with a flame emoji next to it, and then yeah, that's when the internet kind of went real crazy with it, and he ended up deleting both of the tweets, and that's kind of what verified to me that this is likely a work, because yeah, why would he post something like that and kind of make it into an angle as if there was going to be
But
something
why
like
make
that?
it into an angle and not be on NXT? That's what
So
I thought.
so here's
It
the
wasn't
thing.
a work.
Here's the thing. First off, I think WWE likes it that everyone's confused here, because that's kind of they've been testing the waters with messing around with social media to
Of course.
progress storylines and stuff.
Of course.
What I think this might have been is Corey proposing an idea to. So obviously there was some shuffling around that needed to happen with the Raw on Netflix, the commentary team. I heard, but I would never heard it from like a very valid source on like Twitter, that Corey Graves was actually cleared to wrestle again, and this was months ago. And people, I guess, just assumed like, he might be cleared to wrestle again, but he's on commentary. Nothing's really going to come of that. When this whole thing with the shakeup and everything happened, it makes me think that maybe this was in the cards all along. Maybe they were like, okay, when we go to Netflix, McAfee's taking over your spot, but we're going to see if we can work you into being an active competitor again. And this might be like a kind of hit and miss type thing. Like maybe they're not 100% on board with doing this, but they're giving him the opportunity to kind of make things happen himself, which is what we're seeing here. And if it gets
Possible.
enough buzz, maybe WWE be like, okay, we're going to run with this.
Because what do you do with it? Like, Pat McAfee, obviously he is in some relative shape,
Yes.
but this is not going to be a WrestleMania match. And when I say that, I mean WrestleMania caliber match.
No,
right?
this would not be a
So
main
don't
event.
Don't expect a 30-minute,
No. This will
classic
be
match
like
here.
this would be the equivalent of like the Johnny Knoxville, Sami Zayn type thing.
Yeah.
So
And I don't know about that. Like
things like this it's always interesting to me, because the Royal Rumble's coming up, so like anything could happen. Like maybe this isn't going to turn into a Pat McAfee thing. Maybe he's just going to be a surprise entrant in the Rumble.
could
I
be.
don't know, but just the way that it's kind of been worded, the timing of the tweets and stuff makes me feel like this is a little orchestrated. And then I think what ended up happening when he did the whole NXT tweet and said, I have a lot to say, and blah, 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 I think people were starting to bite on that a little too much. And I think maybe somebody was like, oh, you know what? Maybe we need to hold this off and make it look like we're punishing you now. Maybe we need to take you off of NXT and make it look like they're trying to manufacture drama, manufacture emotion from the crowd, so that when he does show up, they're going to be like, oh shit, there's going to be like that idiot from last week. Oh my God, Top Dollar. Oh my God, Corey Graves.
Or maybe they're going to go back to what they used to do with announcers. Have you noticed that announcers now are not specifically like in favor of heel or babyface? Remember the old days of the Attitude Era? Mm-hmm. Michael Cole was generally the babyface announcer, and then
there's color
Jerry the
commentator.
King Lawler.
Yeah, there's a color commentator, and then there's the lead. Jerry
Yeah.
Jr. was always the lead. Jerry Lawler was always the color commentator.
Right,
For a
right,
while,
right.
Michael Cole was the lead. Taz was color. JBL was color back. Michael Cole tends to
Right.
be the lead. We saw him be color when he was the heel Michael Cole,
Oh, yes,
which I
yes.
thought was funny, but so many people hated that. I thought it was
Yeah, but I mean,
hilarious when he
maybe
was
maybe
heel.
that's what they're going to try to drum up here is that, Pat McAfee seems to be more aligned with the babyface side, and maybe Corey Graves is going to develop a heel like persona and
Well,
put them together.
he was always kind of a heel commentator.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. And put them together on the same show that creates a little bit of energy,
yeah,
even if it's
it's
negative energy.
interesting to think about
That
like
could be the
what.
long term plan.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I'll be completely honest. I'm not too familiar with Corey Graves' work in the ring. Um, Back when he was in NXT, it was like around the time that the WWE network like first was taken off and everything. I didn't really see it that much because I wasn't paying attention to NXT at that point. So I didn't really see most of my NXT viewership has been while he's been doing commentary and stuff. Like I didn't really get to see his in ring work a lot. So that'll be interesting to kind of look into. Um, so going from Corey Gray's Twitter drama to some personal Twitter drama, I got myself into some trouble today, early this morning, with none other than Mr. Baron Corbin. Let me open this up
He's
here.
still alive?
Yeah. Well, he's not happy Corbin. He's not sad Corbin. He's well, actually, his name isn't even Baron
Unemployed?
Corbin.
Unemployed
Yeah.
Corbin?
His name's not even Baron Corbin anymore. Let's get into
I
this
know
here.
that.
Let's get into this here. So I'm going to actually show you what the drama is going on here. So let's see. His name is Tom Pestock. Pestock. Okay. So let's see here. His initials. So there was a Pro Wrestling Finesse here. Made a post that said Tony Khan needs to let Ray Phoenix go. The situation only hurts the talent. So what's going on with Ray Phoenix and AEW is so Ray Phoenix and Penta are normally a tag team called the Lucha Bros, and they were both signed in AEW. But what ended up happening was Ray Phoenix got himself injured, and there's clauses in their contract, like when a wrestler gets injured. In most cases in WWE and like the bigger promotions, even AEW, a wrestler will still get paid. I don't think they get paid as much as if they were working, but they still like they're not like sitting at home not getting paid. They still get paid while they're injured. And what ended up happening was the Lucha Bros, as in Penta and Ray Phoenix, they, in their mind, they did the right thing and kind of let Tony Khan know that, hey, when our contract renewal comes up, we are interested in looking at other options. We're not going to, immediately re-sign. And instead of like being a mature boss about that, Tony Khan took that as an insult. And basically, he found a way that he could tack on more time to Ray Phoenix's contract instead of letting the contract run out and then letting him go when the contract's time was up. So what I believe in a wrestler's contract, I'm not a contract expert, but what I believe is going on is since he was hurt for X amount of time, Tony Khan had a clause in the contract saying that at his discretion he could add that time back onto his contract, and basically have him continue to work and make up those dates that he missed. So that's where we're at with that, and that's what this post is referring to. And then you got Mr. Baron Corbin here. Let me hold on. I gotta sorry. Mr. Baron Corbin is throwing his opinion out there, saying everybody who gets hurt gets injury time. Doesn't matter if it's WWE, AEW, or TNA. That's part of it. And maybe Phoenix doesn't want to work. Only him and Tony know that. Ray Phoenix has made it clear that he does want to work. But Tony Khan is not booking him. And what I guess started this discussion more this week was not only is Tony Khan not booking him to work, he also removed all his merchandise from AEW store, meaning that he's not even going to get revenue from that. Um, I don't think that's right. And my opinion on that is, listen, I don't necessarily have a problem with Tony Khan extending his contract to make up for injury time. The issue that I have is in that contract, he is a contracted worker. He is contracted to work exclusively for AEW and to be a focus on their television programming because they don't do house shows or anything. So he would be on television. He is to be doing matches for the company and whatever else, promotional work, going to fan meet and greets and stuff. His contract isn't for him to sit at home and just be held hostage. And I, in my opinion, I'm not an expert on it, but I think that if Ray Phoenix had a lawyer look over that contract and kind of do an assessment of the situation, I think he could get out of that contract because Tony Khan has no intentions on using him. He's basically just having him sit at home, not allowing him to work anywhere else because he's butthurt because the guy wants to sign with WWE. There's nothing in this contract saying that Tony Khan has legal right to prevent him from working when Tony Khan isn't having him work himself. Now, I don't know the base of the contract if Tony Khan is paying him while he's sitting at home right now, not working. I'm sure he's not getting paid as much as if he was running a match on Dynamite or whatever. So that's my whole argument with that. And I put, I'm trying to get to where, okay. So Mr. Baron Corbin, Tom P-Stock wrote, if you sign a contract, sorry, Vicky. If you sign a contract, you honor it. Would it have been okay if Tony didn't pay him while he was hurt or out of action? The answer is no, because Tony signed the contract as well. You can't switch teams after getting what you want and signing the contract. This is where me and Mr. Corbin disagree, because Ray Phoenix did fulfill his contract to the date that they agreed for it to be. So when you're a wrestler, you don't just sign a contract saying, "Oh, I work from January 2022 to January 2024." Usually there'll be a time frame like that, but it'll also be a certain amount of dates. It'll be between that time frame, I'm going to work 22 dates, meaning 22 matches, appearances, whatever. So technically his original contract is over now. But like I said, Tony Khan added the injury time to it. So that tells me that Ray Phoenix probably should have more dates on that contract, meaning that however many dates he missed while he was injured, let's say out of the time he was injured, he missed 13 matches that he was supposed to do. So the discrepancy that I'm seeing here is, okay, so if Ray Phoenix owes Tony Khan X amount of matches, it's on Tony Khan to let him work those matches. So having him sit at home and holding him hostage, I think that there should be some sort of legal loophole there where it's you're either going to have this guy work his contract or you're not. You're going to let him go. You can't just hold him hostage because you're upset that he wants to go somewhere else. What's your opinion on that, Mr.?
Very simple. Very simple.
Yeah.
Very simple, because it applies to regular jobs as well, right?
Yeah.
If you're interested in going to the competition, right?
Yeah.
Don't make it obvious.
Right? That is something
just
that I think he did make a mistake with.
The easiest thing to do is, don't speak out loud. You see it in sports. Yeah. You see it in football, right? You see the stories all the time in football about a player disgruntled with a team because of locker room drama or the coach not, designing plays around a specific person, right? And then it becomes prevalent on social media, or it makes the news headlines, and then, even if legally everyone's doing the right thing, you've clearly sent that person a message that you're unhappy with your work conditions,
Yeah.
whether or not your boss is to blame or not. And it just creates that sense of anxiety. And sometimes people act spitefully. Maybe they don't act spitefully, but there's two lessons learned.
Mm-hmm.
Don't lay your cards out on the table until you absolutely have to. And in a situation where you do have to, and you're unsure because of an injury whether or not your contract's going to get extended, talk to a lawyer first.
Yes. I think that was a big mistake that he made by, like, even saying, hey, we're not going to renew our contract or whatever.
Have your answers first, and then if Tony Khan wants to maybe play roulette with the contract, right? You got to know your legal rights first. Yeah. Because if Tony Khan is in the wrong, then you basically have, hey, I talked to a lawyer. They said you cannot do this.
Yeah.
I doubt, as much as Tony Khan, wants things a certain way in AEW, I doubt he would go to such an extent to break the law and want to get sued.
Exactly.
I would think he would honor the legal contract. He might be unhappy about it, but it is what it is. I think in reality, I'm going to guess that Ray Phoenix sees his longtime friend go to WWE, and Ray Phoenix thinks he can strike lightning in a bottle and do the same thing and go to WWE.
Well, apparently they were supposed to come in together.
Together, yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's get into... So my response to Mr. Corbin after his post here was this. I wrote, he did honor his contract. Also part of his contract was working, and Tony isn't holding up his end of the deal. What I'm trying to allude to is kind of... The contract goes both ways. So Ray Phoenix signed a contract to work for AEW. He didn't sign a contract to sit at home. And if AEW isn't giving him those opportunities to work, I think legally the contract should be void because they're not giving him the availability to fulfill his contract by making him sit at home. And I think Tony's taken advantage a little bit because maybe Ray Phoenix, there's a little bit of a language barrier there. Maybe knowing Ray Phoenix personally, he knows that Ray Phoenix doesn't have the means to talk to a lawyer and really get this looking at it at a legal perspective. I think he's taken advantage a little bit here.
It's possible. It depends on how ironclad the contract is.
Well, obviously, if Tony can just add on time to it, it can't be that ironclad. There's
ironclad in whose favor? Ironclad in AEW's favor, or ironclad in the wrestler's favor, right?
Yeah. So Mr. Corbin responded with that and said, false. Having a contract doesn't mean you're guaranteed TV time or matches. It simply means you can't work for another company. Whoops. And
I think he's comparing WWE contracts to AEW. They may not be the same.
Yes, and I'll give you
I'll
give you my opinion on what his stance is here in a little bit, but my response to that, and here's where I might have went wrong a little bit, and a lot of people got really butthurt about this, but my response to him, I wrote, wrong, LOL, right there. Everyone's very focused on that, because they're angry that I said wrong to a guy that worked in WWE. They think that, oh, I'm saying I know better than him, blah, 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 blah. No. But the finish what I wrote here, I wrote, a contract is you agreeing to offer your services in the realms of that contract. Part of the contract involves him working. If you're not allowed to offer your services as written in the contract, then the contract is void. And that's personally how I feel. Is that how that contract works? I don't know. Baron Corbin doesn't know. We don't know what the contract looks like. But I'm looking at it in a generic way and seeing, okay, they signed a contract for him to wrestle, to be on TV exclusively for AEW. I see it as AEW is not allowing him to wrestle and be exclusively on their team. So it would be the same as if AEW was like, hey, Ray Phoenix, we need you to work this show in East Bumblefuck, New Jersey. And Ray Phoenix was like, oh, no. Like
Maybe, you know
that would
what?
be avoiding his contract at some point when he's refusing to work. So why isn't it voiding the contract if they're refusing to have him work?
I have the solution.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get Judge Steve Harvey involved.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude.
I think he's the right person to settle this dispute.
Oh my God. All right, so to end this little thing here, we have Baron Corbin. He says, "Yeah, how many of these contracts have you ever signed? I wanted to be world champ and wrestle in the main event every night. That didn't happen. Did that make my contract void?" So Mr. Corbin, I don't know if I even responded to that part. I'm not arguing that Ray Phoenix's contract is void because he's not getting his way. I'm arguing that his employer isn't giving him work to do. It's not that it would be a totally different story if this was about Ray Phoenix wanting a heavyweight title shot and them not giving it to him. That I would totally be on board with that. Be on your side with that one. But my argument isn't that Ray Phoenix isn't getting his way. It's that they're not giving him work. They're saying that he needs to fulfill the rest of his contract, and they extended it because of injury time. If you're extending his contract, then let him work the dates that he needs to make up to you. Don't have him sit at home and hold him hostage. You know, I know that if somebody with a legal background looked through that contract, they could find a loophole to get him out of there. Unfortunately, I think that what I also think is happening here, I think Ray Phoenix is kind of playing the internet a little bit, saying, "Oh, I want out of the contract. I want to be free and blah, blah, blah." But I also think that maybe he likes being able to sit at home and get paid. So I think he's kind of keeping the fans interested in what's going on with him. But then he's also, okay, well, I don't have to work right now and I'm getting paid. So maybe I'll let it run or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Instead of Judge Steve Harvey, maybe he should call J.G. Wentworth. Because you know what? It's his contract and he needs his money now.
Well, that was kind of a big thing today. It seems like every Sunday some sort of minuscule disagreement becomes fodder on Twitter. And I took a lot of heat for it. But honestly, I think people were looking a little too into it. I think two people can have a disagreement and it not turn into a pissing contest. And I don't...
Unless you're into that kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't have any ill will towards Mr. Corbin. That's why I didn't say anything disrespectful to him or whatever. We just have a difference in opinions, and people on the internet can take that however they want. I did not realize that Baron Corbin had that many simps, most of them guys, that were going to come at me all day long about this, but it is what it is. And you know what? Thank you for the engagement. Thank you for picking up my ratio on Twitter, whatever. Yeah. You guys will you'll forget about it by tomorrow. So
sounds like Baron Corbin got a little too much TV time.
Yeah. Well, I think he's doing a GCW show tonight. So hopefully he does a good performance there with that. Wish him all the best there. But yeah, let's move on from that train wreck to what we had going on AEW. Good old AEW. So I had a couple key points from AEW this week. And honestly, like I tried to stay involved as much as I could. It's hard for me to stay involved with AEW, and I'm not trying to shit on them or anything. It's just that it's hard for me to stay focused because they have so much going on, and most of it I'm not even interested in. The characters I don't have a connection with. Even the ones I used to have a connection with, I feel that dwindling down. It's just rough. So my key takeaways: Kenny Omega and Brian Cage put on a decent match. I thought it was good. Kenny Omega looks to be almost back in his normal ring shape, which is good. He had a very serious health issue. So it's good to see him back in typical ring shape. It looks like they're doing some whole thing with the Callis family, and they had some sort of face-off with him and Will Ocean Spray. So I I guess maybe we're going to head in that direction again. Even though he had a face off with what was the guy? Who's the guy that won the tournament? What's his name? I can't.
Powerhouse Hobbs.
No. On the pay per view, the guy that was with the Young Bucks that always says "bitch."
I forgot already.
Yeah, that's how
Yeah.
like that's
Forgettable,
how the characters
yeah.
are sticking with me. Another takeaway I have was MGF using Owen Hart's name in the promo with Jeff Jarrett. I just see that as like cheap heat. You know, I'm not shitting myself over it like a lot of people are. It is what it is. It's wrestling. We've seen this kind of stuff happen before. A couple months after Eddie Guerrero passed away, they used that as part of a storyline. We've seen it happen. I think it's a kind of a sleazy, low blow kind of thing to do.
That's MJF for you. That's what we expect.
Yeah, I mean that's his character. My only thoughts are I hope they cleared it with Martha Hart before they did something like that, because she does have a reputation with AEW. She works with them. They do the Owen Hart Cup. That's my whole thing. Just don't do anything that would kind of sour that relationship. She's been through enough. So, not my thing, but I understand what they were doing there. And then we had the main event, Will Hobbs versus Jon Moxley, with Hobbs passing out to end the match. And then I wrote, it was a major disappointment. I'm a Powerhouse Hobbs fan. I think he has a great future in wrestling, not necessarily in AEW, but I think down the road he will be a big star elsewhere. I'm not into the Death Riders. I'm not into it. It's been a long time since I've been into anything Jon Moxley has done.
All he did was repackage the Blackpool Combat Club.
That, and
right?
it's like they rehashed the whole. Remember, the Elite was trying to do an invasion of AEW. They basically took the Elite. Well, they didn't take the Elite out, but Elite moved out of the picture, and they just gave it to Jon Moxley and his stupid little crew. I'm not into it. I haven't been into anything Jon Moxley has done since his WWE days, and even then I wasn't that into him. The whole group in general, I like Cesaro, Claudio Castagnoli. I like him. I think he's a great athlete. The chick in the group, Shafar, she looks like a deer in headlights. She does not look comfortable on television. She can't cut a promo. She blankly stares at everything. And don't tell me that's her character. It's just her not being comfortable in front of a camera. Wheeler useless. I'm tired of seeing him. He absolutely does nothing. It looks like whenever he runs into the ring, I honestly think it's a fan jumping the barricade. He doesn't look intimidating at all. It looks like the referees could kick his ass. I don't understand with the obsession with using these people. I understand on a certain front, like AEW wants to focus on talent that wouldn't get over in WWE. They want it to be exclusive AEW talent. There's a reason a WWE wouldn't jump on somebody like Wheeler Yuta. Okay? He doesn't look like... Wheeler Yuta would be maybe a referee in WWE. Maybe one of the security guys that comes out and takes a DDT from Brock Lesnar or something. He would not be a wrestler, let alone in the main event of any show. So
I agree. Yeah.
Who else is even in that group? You got Claudio, Wheeler useless. Pac, I think sometimes is kind of farting around with them. Pac's okay.
And we don't mean X-Pac.
Yeah,
we mean
Pac.
the other one.
The bastard Pac. He's kind of flippy floppy though. Like I never know. He comes and goes as he pleases. Like he'll be gone for 5 months and he'll pop back up, and they act like it's the return of fucking Hulk Hogan every single time. Like the dude disappears, comes back, disappears again, comes back, and heel, babyface, whatever. Like there's no consistency there. What were your thoughts on AEW?
So there are a couple points we didn't hit on.
Yeah.
The Hurt Syndicate.
Okay.
Dumb. Just dumb.
MVP had a match. MVP had a match.
Yeah, repackaging of the Hurt business.
Yeah.
Looks stupid. They need to move on. It just...
Yes.
It's not doing AEW any help at all.
Yep. Totally agree with you on that.
Falls flat. Chris Jericho, please just go home.
I don't understand it.
Just
I
be
really
done.
don't. I think if you want to get into contracts again, I think they're contractually obligated to have him on every show because there is no way that anybody in AEW thinks that is good content. No, there's no way. There's
He
absolutely
doesn't even
no
look
way.
in great shape.
There's no way.
If his tits start dangling anymore, he could have an OnlyFans account.
If he would jump
It
on a
does not look
if he would
good.
jump on a trampoline, he'd probably knock himself out with one of his tits.
Yes.
And
least
listen,
Jeff Jarrett-
I'm not
Jeff Jarrett's-
I'm nobody to talk, but still,
Look,
like
is Jeff Jarrett older than Chris Jericho? Because Jeff Jarrett
Yes, I think
actually
so.
looks a little in shape for his
Yes.
age.
yes.
And Chris Jericho just looks like he's just the leather is sagging.
He looks like he's
needs,
melting.
like-
yeah.
Yes.
That's
like a
the
wax
thing.
figure.
That's the thing. Like we've seen Jericho ever since he's went to AEW, he's definitely like let his body go. But
Yes.
we've seen him kind of like when his first initial run in AEW, he started really letting himself go, but then he got himself in better shape again for a little bit. But now he's starting to let himself go again.
And he's not even trying with his promos. I just feel like he's
No,
phoning it in.
Yeah. He's just like, "Hi guys."
It's terrible. It's terrible.
It's one of those things, we talked about it a couple times now, where he saw the fans were turning on him, and so instead of like adjusting things and trying to flip that, he's just like, oh, well, if they're going to turn on me, I'm going to make it look like I'm doing it on purpose. And they're saying, please retire.
That's fine, but put some thought into it.
No,
It just looks...
Here's my
It looks
hope.
lazy.
Here's my hope for Chris Jericho. If I was booking AEW right now, I'd be like this. Jericho, I want you to take up to a year off. I want you to go away for a year. I want you to get yourself in shape. Continue doing your Fozzy stuff, whatever. Don't mention AEW. Don't mention wrestling. Get yourself in shape. And when you come back, we're going to do a Sting retirement tour with you. Get yourself in the best shape you possibly can. And we're going to have classic matches with you. We're going to have you lined up with... We're going to do a John Cena retirement tour with Jericho. And
Yeah, because
we're gonna
would
have
you want to
big matches
retire
lined
on a
up.
low note?
Yeah.
Would you want to retire on a low note, or would you want to
And
retire
that's
on a
kind
high
of where
note?
he's heading. He's going to head where he's going to get seriously injured in the state that he's in now, and his last match is going to be against Wheeler Yuta, and he's going to look like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And that's sad.
Because I can
he had
see
a
that's what
long
they're doing
career.
with Jeff Jarrett. It looks like
Yes.
Jeff Jarrett's going for a retirement run.
Yeah.
His body's probably in the best shape it's been in 10 years.
Yeah. Maybe he'll win a
And
title.
that
You
makes
never
sense.
know. Yeah.
I think that there's something more to this. MJF, Jeff Jarrett. Now they did it twice.
Yeah.
I
I think they're going to
think-
have a
I-
match or something at some point.
No, well, yeah, but I think it's going to go different. I think Jeff Jarrett is going to try to win a title, fail a couple of times, and turn to MJF as his last-ditch effort. MJF will maybe get him close and screw him, and they'll have, like, a final match.
Yeah.
I think they're going to draw this out. I think they're going to draw it out a little bit.
Yeah. MJF and Jarrett, that does interest me a little bit. I could see that
Because I see Jarrett putting him over. I mean,
Of course. I think Jarrett, one thing with Jarrett is you get irritated with him because he's just around so much and he just never goes away. He's been in every major company. He's won the titles in every major company. The thing with Jarrett, though, is he always does what's best for business. He always does.
Yes.
He lost the Intercontinental title to China back in the day.
Yeah.
He is not the kind of person that's demands title matches. He demands to win them. He's not Hulk Hogan. He doesn't play politics. He wants to work and he likes being on TV, but he doesn't care if he wins or loses. So would perfectly be fine with losing every match in this retirement run that he's doing.
And he's probably getting paid pretty well.
Oh, I'm sure he's been paid pretty well throughout his whole career.
Yeah.
Ugh. Any other key points you've had from AEW at all?
Yeah, the Tony Storm stuff.
Okay. She's
Not
kinda
sure the
amnesia.
long term. Yeah, I'm not sure I fully understand where the payoff is or what they're building towards.
Well,
and
yeah, it looks like she.
maybe I wonder AEW doesn't know themselves. Maybe
It looks
they're
like she
flying
has a
by the
match
seat
with Mariah May, which is the last match she had as
Yeah.
Timeless Tony Storm. So I think maybe things will pick up there. Maybe we'll get Timeless Tony Storm again. Who knows?
What, Mariah May will like beat her into being timeless
You
Tony
never know.
Storm
Maybe
somehow?
she'll hit her with a shoe, and all of a sudden the camera goes gray, and that Uncle Fester looking guy comes running out, and it all starts up again. I could see it, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest Tony Storm fan. And the Timeless Tony Storm, it was entertaining at first, but it kind of ran its course with me, so I was kind of over it by the time.
Yeah, I hope they don't just bring it back the way it was, because I think a gimmick like that is so strange that it has a limited shelf life.
Yeah, and I think they were kind of running low on that.
You know, kind of like Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
Sorry. When you go a strange gimmick, right, that obviously does not look realistic.
Yeah.
You know, it has a very limited shelf life in general, regardless of promotion. You know, there's only been one exception, maybe two exceptions in my opinion, and that's Undertaker and Kane. Yes. Obviously, those things will last almost forever. Yeah. But even Kane had to evolve.
Yep.
And they dropped
and
the original.
To an extent, Undertaker evolved too.
Yeah.
He evolved and then de-evolved. He evolved and then they went back to the old dead man.
And maybe that is the only character that gets a free pass, right? Yep. But any of these characters that turn into things that aren't believable have a limited shelf life.
Yes. Unless they're that committed. And she's pretty committed to that character, but I don't know. It doesn't matter about the stories, the opponents, and stuff.
That style is from the 80s, right? Like Ultimate Warrior. Believed he was Ultimate Warrior. Yeah. Great. You plop that same character today, it does not resonate that with fans for any more than a couple of months. And then fans get distracted and want to move to something else.
Yeah.
Fans want to see characters that are believable, a little bit like real life, but not real life at the same time.
Yep.
If you want to go over the top and have a timeless Tony Storm, that's for Hollywood and movies, not for wrestling.
That's what I think we discussed it before. Timeless Tony Storm, I think, would really excel in WWE because they would have the production to really like make that be over the top. And I think we've kind of plateaued with where AEW can go with it. They do have connections with Turner and TNT movies and stuff like that. So they did a couple cross promotions there, but like WWE, they're the kind of people that they would run like a 15-minute movie during Raw or something.
Right.
Or, they would go all out with it. And AEW, I think they're kind of limited on their resources there.
And I think the other thing too, that's like the Undertaker character works both live and when you're watching on television.
Yeah,
I would say the Timeless Tony Storm is actually only appreciated better on television than it is live.
Yep, that's
right.
Very true.
The Wyatt stuff is kind of the same thing, where it's like it's scarier on television than it is live.
Yes, live it's like hard to even see what's going on.
Exactly.
You got anything else? Yeah. You got anything else
for
going
AEW.
for AEW? Okay, so then I guess it's time that we move on to our next segment here. And this week I wanted to do a segment where me and Mr. Chunk, we kind of talk about some of our memories going to a couple live shows. We've been going to live shows for a pretty long time. From my understanding, at least my recollection, the first live show that me and you went to was in 2006, July 2006. I remember it was a couple days before the 4th of July. And during this time, it was actually a super show we went to. Yes. So a super shows used to be, they filmed Raw and SmackDown on the same night, all in like succession. I think they start with SmackDown, then Raw would be live, and then SmackDown would air a couple days later. I distinctly remember that first show because there was a lot of drama going on with Rob Van Dam at the time. He got caught back in these days. If you even got caught smoking weed, they considered it as an illegal substance, and you would get suspended. And he got caught. He got pulled over, and they found weed in his car. And he was the WWE champion at the time. I believe he was WWE and ECW champion at the time. So that kind of put a lot of ruffled a lot of feathers,
And that's surprising because, like, WWE, they didn't know what type of individual Rob Van Dam. I
yeah,
mean,
you know.
it doesn't take a scientist to figure
The
out
thing
what his
is that,
hobbies
yeah,
are.
they based his character off of being like the stoner kind of guy, and then
Yeah.
like, hey, when he actually is actually a stoner, they suspend him. I think it
And they
was
put the
just,
championship on him. I
yeah,
mean, okay.
very bad timing for that to happen to him when he had the
Yeah.
belt. But I distinctly remember the main event for that show was Edge, John Cena, versus Rob Van Dam, and the winner would be the WWE champion. Um, and Edge ended up winning that. We got to see Edge's second title reign with the WWE title. And then another notable thing that happened during that show was Mr. McMahon cutting his promo. Mr. McMahon was in a feud with DX at the time, and they were just kind of interfering with him and his family. And for whatever reason, Mr. McMahon was teamed up with the Spirit Squad. They were like his lackeys, and pretty much
Yes.
so. DX vowed to. DX was. What do you want to call it? They were banned from the building. So that the show opened with them like trying to get in the building. They weren't allowed to come in, and then they vowed to disrupt the show as it was happening.
And they took over the production truck.
Yeah, they took over the production truck. Mr. McMahon was in the ring cutting a promo, and they would kind of make his mic cut out. They would change his voice to like sound like a chipmunk, sound like Barry White, and then they started drawing things on the screen. They drew a picture of a chicken with a little thing that came out of his mouth that said "I love cocks," because that's how they got away with saying that on TV, because they wanted to make sure that it was referring to the chicken and not what most people took that as. It was a pretty funny segment. I see a lot of times people share YouTube clips of it and everything, so it's cool that we were in attendance for that to happen. To be honest with you, that's kind of all I remember from that show. I remember the SmackDown taping that night. Batista returned after like a lengthy absence. He was injured or something, and he like beat up Mark Henry, of all people. And that was my first memory of going to a Raw show with you. And I do have a screen capture. Like this was back. Oh crap! Why did I do that? This was back before like I had a camera that I could really like film video with. So I kind of had this as my only option to kind of get like footage. Hold on a second. There we go.
It's an obvious, haven't we told people that, like, we're kind of breasties or bosom buddies?
Yeah. So if you see that
Okay.
little arrow there, you see my bald ass head, and you can see Mr. Chonk. Mr. Chonk almost looking exactly like he does now. But
Yeah,
yeah,
not
that's
that
us
far off.
sitting in the front row. The front row of that area. Then Sheamus with the title. Sheamus doesn't look like he aged at all. He looks maybe a
Nope.
little thinner in that screenshot.
No,
this is in
yeah, like
2010, guys.
This
was
a jar
this
of
was-
mayonnaise.
This is like 15 years ago. And yeah, he still looks almost the same. Maybe a little thinner in the face. But
No,
yeah.
this is more than 15 years ago. 2006?
No, 2010.
Okay,
This was in 2010. Our first show was in 2006.
You're right. Yeah. This one too. Yeah,
Yeah, that was
20, 15 years ago.
2010. I remember I had work that day, and like I had to get home from work, and then we went straight to. I forget how exactly we got there. But
And John Cena. Hey,
Yes,
actually,
John-
I can see
Yeah, John
Cena.
Cena is in the background there. Yeah, I wish I had a picture of us when John Cena came out. That's the only footage I have from that particular show. We've been to so many, and I tried to find.
At least
some...
you didn't spit ice.
Yeah. Oh God, that was the first house show I ever went to. Okay, so during this time, I went with another friend who shall remain nameless. He's not with us anymore, so may he rest in peace. But I wasn't the best person back at that time, and I used to. I wouldn't say I had a drinking problem, but I did indulge in alcohol a lot back then. And I had second row seats at a house show. And this house show would have been like in WrestleMania today because they had like Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Ric Flair, Kane, Chris Benoit. They had so many people there. And I behaved myself the entire show until the very end. The main event was Triple H versus Shawn Michaels. And I don't know what made me do it, but I had a finished drink. It was just a cup of ice. I had soda in it, but I drank all the soda. Had a cup of ice next to me. Triple H came out. He did the whole water spit thing, and this is when Triple H was a heel. And I saw it as a prime opportunity to grab a handful of that ice and chuck it into the ring. To my credit, I guess, I had pretty good aim because I hit him with every single piece of ice that I threw. And security immediately like looked over and started scanning the crowd, and they immediately pointed at this kid about 2 seats in front of me, or a seat in front of me, and they were basically coming around to get rid of him. And me being the nice guy that I was, I said, "Yep, that's him." No, I admitted it was me, and I took my punishment, which was them escorting me to they had some like back room where they kind of took a photocopy of my ID, and they banned me from the building for the rest of the night and asked me to leave, and I did.
At least you didn't get a lifetime ban from WWE. That would have stunk.
No, and honestly, I honestly think it's because I fessed up to it and kind of went willingly. I mean, I'm sure if I would have acted like an idiot, like kicking and screaming and causing a scene, maybe they would have. But I think because
I think the more important thing, though, is do you think that house show sold out more than an episode of Dynamite?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They held it at the Wells Fargo Center. I think it was called the First Union Center, the FU Center back then. And they I wouldn't say it was a complete sellout, but they had seats filled in like the upper level. It was a pretty filled house show. And yeah, one of my more embarrassing stories, I did actually end up getting kicked out of a WWE event. It was the main event or whatever, so stupid me. I missed out on the main event, and the tickets weren't, the second row seats, this is going to make you feel disgusted, dude. Second row seats to a house show, they were $80 each. Today, theirs would be $3,000.
Yeah, and it's a house show. I mean, come on.
Yep, they would be $3,000 at a house show.
And back then, I don't even think they were. Did they even have cameras at a house show back then?
They
Not
weren't
too
like
many.
they weren't full on like production cameras, but they had a couple. They would.
Because I
film,
know
like,
today they kind of do that because they, once in a while get like a historic moment or something
Yep.
at a house show. So
I'll say
WWE
this.
records them all
Well,
now.
the house shows now they have cameras because they showed on the little
Yes.
Titantron and stuff. They didn't have that back then. There wasn't even like really an entrance area back then. They would just come out of like this little tunnel thing, which I thought was kind of cool. But yeah, Minty got kicked out of a WWE house show back in the day. So I have a couple of footage. So I went to WrestleMania 28 over in 2012, and this was like a dream come true for me. I always wanted to go to a WrestleMania, and the biggest part of it was that it was the return of The Rock. When I found out The Rock was returning, I knew I had to go. Mr. Chunk wasn't able to make this one. This was actually in Miami, Florida. And this show was packed. It had John Cena versus The Rock, Chris Jericho versus CM Punk, The Undertaker versus Triple H in a Hell in a Cell match, and I got some footage from that. What other matches did it have? Oh my god, it had that match, Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan, that lasted 3 seconds.
30 seconds.
Yeah. That one. It had so many good matches. And let me just start off with this here. I might have to turn the volume down a little bit.
That was the one with the Rock and John Cena, the first of the two, right?
Yes, it was the first one. I gotta figure out how to mute this or something. So, yeah, so this is the Undertaker's entrance here. It's just way too loud. Let me see. So yeah, I forget what seat I had here. It was definitely on the ground floor. And this was when The Undertaker came out, and they actually had entrance music for the Hell in a Cell, the cage itself, that came down. And I'm going to have to stop it before it gets to that part, or else we'll get in trouble for copyright. But yeah, these were... I wish I had the footage for WrestleMania 29, because we actually had better seats at WrestleMania 29 than I have here. But this was my first WrestleMania. Every year around this time, I always think about this WrestleMania. This is like one of those moments that will stick out in my life forever. Just seeing this match here. Let me go into some actual footage from the match of Triple H versus The Undertaker. It was really cool being able to see this match up close in person because people say that this is one of the greatest Hell in a Cell matches of all time. And they say like this is literally the end of the Attitude Era, which I guess was kind of what the match was supposed to be, end of an era. I believe this is the end of the match here. Whoops. Yeah, the very end of the match. Oh, nice view there of let's pause that right there. Yeah, end of the match there. I think we got the pin. Shawn Michaels is a special guest referee for that one. Really cool. Sorry if that's too loud, guys. I can't turn it down or else I'll turn down everybody's volume. And then I also have this of The Rock winning at WrestleMania 28, and some really cool fireworks going off, which was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool experience to be in Miami for this event. They don't really do big firework presentations like that anymore in WWE, I've noticed. Even at WrestleMania 40 when we went, they didn't have the big presentation of fireworks and everything. I guess maybe they don't think it's worth it, worth the budget. And I got two more clips of two shows that we went to. And this one, Mr. Chonk here told me was his favorite show that we went to together. And I disagree with him, but he told me that this was his favorite. And it is Battleground 2017. There's a Punjabi prison match. And he
I wouldn't say that was my favorite. I would say it stuck out.
No, you said it was your favorite, dude.
Okay, yeah, sure.
And here's his favorite part right here. It's, the Great Khali comes out to interfere in the match.
You know what? At least you walk faster than he does.
Yes. I might actually be a little slower than him, dude. I don't know. He does walk a little quicker than the Big Show. Oh, God.
You know what's really sad? I actually have that T-shirt from that event.
Oh, yeah. You try to get a T-shirt at every event we go to.
Yeah.
I think I actually have hinder my gender winning this whole thing, yeah.
Yes.
He actually won the whole thing.
That actually kicked off like him having it for 6 months.
Yeah, I think he kept the title a little bit after that. And then the last clip that I have here, and then we can move on, is this one. I always forget that we actually went to, but this was the last WWE pay-per-view before the pandemic happened. And we actually
Elimination Chamber.
Elimination Chamber 2020. Nothing really eventful happened there. And so I think that's why I forget about it a lot. But I have a little cool moment here during the one Elimination Chamber match. We might have to do a little bit of fast forwarding. I forget who was. I think this was actually a tag team Elimination Chamber match.
Oh, that's right.
I see Otis, and I think Tucker was there too.
Tucker, yes.
Tucky. I think that's Tucky right there.
And New Day.
Yes, the New Day was in there. Oh yeah. So I took this clip because the one luchador, I forget Lindsay Dorado, I think maybe it was. He actually climbs to the top of the tippy top of the cage. And he does something crazy. You guys will see in a second here. I think this is the part where he goes all the way up. Basically does like a Spider-Man stunt, which is crazy. And this was the first time I ever saw the Elimination Chamber live. And it might be the only opportunity that we get to see it live. They don't, oh God. Is that Tucker doing it?
Yes.
Or is that
No.
Otis?
Otis doing the worm.
Okay, good. Yeah, so if you notice, see the guy dangling there, that's why I started recording. So he goes almost all the way up top. And he does a little swing around. Oh, Jesus Christ. Just crazy. Could you imagine being athletic enough to do something like that? So yeah, that's some clips of some of the shows that we went to. We've been to so many, and we'll talk more about, like, I have so many clips that I could find. That's just all I downloaded today, because it would be like a 2-hour show, just me showing footage and stuff. But anytime, specifically pay-per-views come to like the Philadelphia area, we try to go. We used to go to almost every Raw and SmackDown, but then we kind of cut back on the Raw and SmackDown stuff. A lot of it's hard when you're working full-time. It's hard to be able to organize that and get there and everything. And then it's such a late night.
Did we go to the last Royal Rumble that was in Philadelphia?
Yes.
I think that was 2015, right?
We went to 2015 and then 2018. 2018,
yeah,
the first ever Women's Royal Rumble we went to.
Yes.
So
but 2015, Roman Reigns getting booed out of the building.
Yes. And that one had, like, in my
The
opinion,
Rock.
the best triple threat match of all time: Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar, and John Cena.
Yeah.
That was a great match. Oh my God.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, we'll do this segment again, and I'll show some different footage, and we'll maybe discuss what our worst live event moments. Well, to be honest with you, Punjabi Prison was probably, one of my opinion, one of the worst. That match was just a train wreck. It was difficult to see what the hell was even going on during that match.
Yeah, I have to agree.
But yeah, we'll save that for another day. Let's get into the SmackDown recap here. So I got 3 key points from SmackDown. First thing I wanted to say was that they're doing a great job making Owens look like a legit title contender. This time last year, somebody would have told me that Kevin Owens was going for the title again. I would have rolled my eyes. Right now, in its current state, with the character that he's morphed into, I believe it. I believe that he is a title contender, and I believe that he has a chance to win the title at the Royal Rumble. I don't think it's going to happen, but I could see somebody arguing with me that it could possibly happen. I think that he is a legit contender right now. And I think his segments on SmackDown are some of the best that they're doing. So yes, kudos to him. Kudos to him.
Yeah.
So they did roll a package of Charlotte Flair, a video package of her eventual return. They did not give us a date. And my thought on that was that I am excited for Charlotte's return. I'm guessing that's pretty much confirming she's going to be on SmackDown. I'm excited for that to happen. I would say if they're not going to have her return earlier, definitely the Royal Rumble, she will be a participant in that. And then my last key point was Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton looked perfect as champion and was the right call to have her win clean against Bayley. I thought they had a great match. I'm not the biggest Bayley fan in the world, but I thought that her and Bayley had a great match, and I think the clean victory was the way to go. I would have been upset if it was some sort of shoddy victory where she cheated or needed interference or something. Them doing a clean victory, almost a pay-per-view caliber match, would think was absolutely the right thing to do. And I think that's really building up momentum with Tiffany Stratton by doing that. It makes her look as a legitimate champion, not just a replacement title holder to eventually pass it on to somebody else. It looks like they could potentially keep her as champion for the distant future, in my opinion.
I agree. The only thing that I'll pick on that match was I thought Roxanne Perez would have played more of a role. Maybe not interfere, but like...
She was in the crowd.
accidentally distract Bailey, like not
Yep.
intentionally, but just like
Or
catch the glance.
or if anything,
and
maybe
get her off
do
her
a
game.
do a beat down after the match or something.
Yeah, there was
They
just
could have.
a little stare down for half a second, and that's all they did.
Yep. Yeah, a little confusing, but I guess they're just promoting like the NXT stuff a little bit. But yeah, they definitely could have had her play a little bit more of a role in all that. But I liked the way the match went. I thought it was a great match. Probably my favorite match from SmackDown on Friday. What were your key points from SmackDown that you had?
You know what? I'm gonna give you one that was a little out of left field.
Mm-hmm.
B-Fab getting some screen time.
Yeah, I noticed she was in what was it, the backstage segment with Chelsea Green, and yeah.
So I guess that they're kind of separating her from the Street Profits and stuff like that, and giving her a little bit of something. I mean, we'll see.
When she had a match not that long ago, I thought she did okay in the match. It's just like WWE has a problem with some female characters on the show can really knock it out of the park, and I think a lot of that is a testament to who they are. Somebody like Chelsea Green, she can really just take a character and run with it. But I think the ones that struggle with kind of being creative on their own and running with a character, I think WWE struggles to kind of give them something to really bite into.
Yeah.
And it kind of shows with somebody like Michin or B-Fab or Candice LeRae. It's like they to me seem like people that might need a little bit more spoon-fed a character instead of being able to latch onto something and run with it. And Bayley was kind of like that at first too, but eventually she caught on and kind of developed her own character. Because if you remember, the first beginning Bayley on the main roster was absolutely horrible. Oh yeah, my god, definitely. It was like shut your TV off horrible. And then eventually, like her heel run, she really got into like a character. And it's hard when she's a babyface now because like she still tries to be a heel, and it doesn't really work. Like she calls people a stupid idiot and stuff like that. It's kind of, to be honest, she kind of stole a lot of her character from Chris Jericho.
I was just gonna say, it
but hey, it works. It works for her.
Yeah.
But somebody like B-Fab, and then if you go on the Raw side, Maxine Dupree, people like that.
Yeah.
That I don't want to say they're not creative, but they're not like able to just latch onto a character and really run with it. They kind of need to be spoon-fed. And I notice that people that are like that don't seem to flourish that much in WWE anymore.
And I would say I have two other takeaways, right?
Yep.
The Jacob Fatu stuff, that's interesting. That
he cut a promo.
I don't know where Solo Sikoa. Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't know where Solo Sikoa goes from here.
Yeah. They promoted
like Jacob Fatu was elevated a little higher.
They promoted that he was going to be on SmackDown. Was he on SmackDown? Because if he was,
he grabbed the mic, didn't say anything, left.
Okay, that's how I missed it.
And then Jacob Fatu took over, and he cut a promo instead.
Wow. So they promoted that Solo was back on SmackDown, and then he didn't say anything.
Yep.
Okay. So maybe the direction here is a Jacob Fatu babyface run, and maybe there's something with Solo and him. I don't know.
I think at this point, Jacob Fatu has more going for him than Solo.
Oh yeah. He could carry the Bloodline storyline if Solo even took a sabbatical for a while. They could.
I feel like they might play a thing where Solo cries back to Roman, and Roman doesn't take him back at all. And I don't know. Solo maybe. I don't mean this badly. Maybe he needs to go back to NXT just a little bit, freshen up his character.
Sure. I mean, that's kind of it looks like that's what they're doing with Bayley right now.
Because I think with Solo, I don't think Solo has enough character outside of the Bloodline. I think without the Bloodline storyline, no one cares.
There's no way he could be a singles competitor, heel or babyface right now.
Not at this point. He needs to basically reinvent his character a little bit.
Absolutely.
Jacob Fatu, I don't think he needs the Bloodline. I think that
they can make him like Umaga. They could just make him this crazy Samoan.
Yeah.
Who they could easily separate him from the Bloodline. Just have him be this like rogue Samoan dude that comes in and just attacks people, and they could build a whole thing with all that. because that's pretty
Yeah.
much what he's doing. Any other takeaways from SmackDown that you had?
And the last piece, it was about Jade Cargill.
Okay.
I
They're teasing that more. She's obviously coming back soon.
So it's either one of the two. It's either Naomi or
I am
Bianca.
almost 100% confident at this point they're leaning with Naomi. Just the way her mannerisms were when she talked about, no news on Jade, no news on Jade. I almost think I saw an eye roll there. I think there is a possibility they both could be involved with the attack. But
it's possible.
I'm very heavily leaning towards Naomi. And to be honest with you, I'm excited about it. I'm not the biggest Naomi fan. I'm excited about a character change for her.
I agree.
Give her a heel turn. You know what? Maybe I'll start
liking Bianca Belair could also get a character change. Could be for her.
If you want to put the title on Naomi eventually, make her a heel. Yeah. If she somehow stole that title from Tiffany Stratton, she would have major heat because the fans love Tiffany Stratton right now. If she somehow stole it from her, that would be crazy. That would be absolutely crazy. I hope that does lead to Naomi heel turn. I don't know if that's going to be the plans for WrestleMania. Her and Jade Cargill, that'd be an interesting matchup. Bianca and Jade Cargill, I think, would be more of a blockbuster though. So maybe a part of me does hope that Jade kind of turns heel, and we can. Or
maybe there's just a tension between all three. Maybe it is Naomi who did it, and Bianca doesn't know which side to take, and she gets caught in the middle.
We'll have to see. We will have to see. So that's it for your predictions with SmackDown. The one thing that we need to move on to here is there's going to be a Saturday night main event next weekend, and the lineup looks pretty decent. I would say the first one that we had a couple weeks ago was a little bit better, but from the advertised matches, we have World Heavyweight Championship match between Gunther and Jey Uso. We have an Intercontinental Championship match between Braun Breaker and Sheamus. I feel like we've seen that match like 3 times now.
Yes.
And then we also have Braun Strowman versus Jacob Fatu. I want to start with that match right there.
That's the most interesting.
There's absolutely no way I see Jacob Fatu losing that match. Unless like Solo does something.
You think there's shenanigans? Yeah, there could be shenanigans.
But I think I don't see
Not
Braun,
clean.
I don't see Braun Strowman having a chance in hell of winning that one. There's no way.
Yeah.
No way.
Do you see Braun Strowman as just enhancement talent at this point?
Right now,
just to be the
he's
big guy?
one of those guys that he could be enhancement right now, and then eventually they could move him to like a main eventer. In my opinion, he's a future champion. I mean, he is a former champion. They've had him face people like Lesnar. Like he's one of those guys that they can. He's almost like the Big Show. Like if they need him to be a main eventer for a little bit, they can do it.
I don't know. I mean,
he has fans.
With him, it's like there's not a lot of character there. It's basically like he's the circus act because he's big.
He's a big guy,
and that's about as far
things.
You can go with it. Yeah.
Intercontinental title match. I think it'll be a really good match. Sheamus really seems to be putting on some hard-hitting matches as on this current run that he's doing.
But I sense interference by Ludwig Kaiser.
Yes, it seems like those 3 are like in a kerfuffle here or something.
Yes,
they do not want to remove themselves from each other. It seems like Sheamus and Kaiser are constantly going at it, and then like Braun Breaker is like the fucking Judy Bagwell on a pole. Whoever wins the feud between them two, they always get an Intercontinental Championship match. So, Braun Breaker. I was going to say Braun Breaker doesn't seem to have many matches. If you ever notice, like they'll show him backstage, they'll show him in the crowd. He doesn't really have many matches, but usually when he does, they're like main event, like big matches.
Yes,
it's weird. What were you going to say there?
So with the Gunther match, right? Mm-hmm. So, in your opinion, how many matches can Jey Uso lose and still be the Yeet?
Well, he's going to lose.
That's what they're going for.
Because I absolutely
there's no
do
way
not see him winning that match. No way.
No,
don't get him close.
Is the Yeet stuff so strong that they're just gonna keep having Jay lose, 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 lose?
They want him
And
to
the
be
only
an
way he's gonna
underdog.
win are like tag team matches, right? He's gonna win like tag team
Jay,
matches. With a lot of shenanigans
Jay
involved,
is
but
somebody like I don't know what
straight up
their
one on one.
yeah I don't know what their plans are with him. Like, cause I'm like right now my mind is like, okay, what is WrestleMania looking like? What does the lineup for WrestleMania look like? I don't have an idea of where Jey Uso could be at WrestleMania.
My
There's
thought is the
nothing.
way WWE is treating him is that he's such a fan favorite
Hmm.
that put him with strong heel characters, let Jay lose. The fans don't lose respect for him at all. They still chant his name.
Yeah, he's
And
a
the
merch
heel
seller.
gets more respect because
Yeah.
the heel beats somebody that the fans like, who is actually talented in
I'll
the
give.
ring.
I mean, I'll give.
He's like the John Cena. He's the next
Yeah,
John Cena. Almost.
I'll give WWE credit. They had him get a victory over Drew McIntyre.
Yes, I was very surprised.
But they're not
by
going to
that.
do that with Gunther. They're not going to let him beat Gunther.
No.
Gunther that is very protected. I really don't know, like, because they're not gonna make Jey Uso go heel. He's selling too much merchandise.
Right.
Are they gonna put him back with Jimmy? Like they did that for a little bit with the reunited of the Bloodline. I don't know. For some reason I'm starting to feel like Jay will be in some multi-man match at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
like, maybe-
Yeah, I have a feeling you might.
The only thing I could see them try to do is run back him and Braun Breaker again.
Possible.
But maybe not a one-on-one capacity. Maybe it'll be a multi-man intercontinental match or something. I think that there's some legs with Sami Zayn, though. I think eventually they could do a story arc where Sami Zayn goes heel on Jey Uso.
I think he should. I think they should. Yeah.
Because I think that there's so much history there. I think they could do that soon.
Yeah, I have to agree.
And maybe that's the whole thing with him, Sami Zayn, all of a sudden being tied to Karrion Kross. Maybe they'll bring out an evil side of Sami.
And you've noticed that with that Final Testament, they've always brought out the evil side of all the characters they've dealt
So
with.
maybe we'll see that with Sami. And then the only other thing that so far is advertised is the contract signed between Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes, with Shawn Michaels being the official for that, and apparently they're going to be turning over the titles for the ladder match during that.
They hinted at some kind of stipulation or something.
Well, it's a
that
ladder match.
Neither. No. And if you watch SmackDown, right?
Mm-hmm.
Neither of them wanted to sign it because of something in the contract until the other person signed it.
Oh,
And then no
I think
one
that
signed it.
that whole thing was because of Kevin stealing the title or something like that. I guess Cody didn't want to.
You don't think there's an additional stipulation or something like that at risk?
I really don't. What I think is going to happen is I think Shawn Michaels is going to take a pile driver, the package pile driver or whatever. And
I have to agree.
It's
Yeah.
going to get some more heat on Kevin. And to be completely honest, since they made it a point to be like, oh, you guys are turning over your titles, I think Kevin's going to steal both titles. And he's going to leave with both.
Yeah.
And then maybe
Yeah.
the following SmackDown, they'll somehow they have to get the titles to hang above the ring or whatever. But
Yeah.
I see Shawn Michaels taking that package pile driver on Saturday. So, and as of right now, I don't see Cody losing the title. But like I said, Kevin does come across as a legit contender to me. Wouldn't be absolutely shocking if somehow he got it. But if he somehow got it, I don't see it being a long reign at all.
That's true. Yeah.
To be honest with you,
I
the
agree.
Rumble, I think that is when we're going to see Randy Orton again. I think
so.
I don't know. I don't want to do predictions for the Rumble yet. We're going to do that next week. So we have another SmackDown Saturday Night's main event to watch before we do official predictions for the Rumble. But WrestleMania in my head for Kevin Owens is going to be against Randy Orton. A real match, not the one they had in Saudi. Like an actual real match.
I agree.
Yeah, so that's about what we are going to run through this week. Thank you so much to everybody that came in, hung out, and talked in chat. Missy, Hippo in the house, Fandango. Yeah, this is our exit music. It's unfortunate we weren't able to get on TikTok tonight, but TikTok's got its own issues going on, so we'll be back on next week. We'll definitely have some clips going up on TikTok starting either tonight or tomorrow. But see you guys next week. We'll be recapping Saturday night's main event, Raw, SmackDown, all the normal shows, and we're going to be giving our predictions for the Royal Rumble next week, so that will definitely be fun. We're not going to go into too much detail about who's going to come out when, but maybe we'll do some predictions on who we think will be surprise entrants, who we think's going to win. Yeah. Who we think's going to win and where we think that will head with WrestleMania. So until then, guys, thank you so much for hanging out, and we will catch you